My name is Kaylin Merritt, and for most of my life, I never believed in anything strange or supernatural. I grew up in the quiet town of Drybrook, the kind of place people forget even exists. Our house sat at the edge of a long stretch of forest where the pine trees grew so tall they swallowed the sky. My parents, especially my mother, always warned me about the woods at night. She said the forest held things older than memory, but I never understood what she meant. Still, I respected her rules. I was raised by a woman named Lunette, a name as unusual as her spirit, gentle but shaken by a past she rarely talked about. She always said, "Kaylin, if you ever hear knocking after midnight, don't you dare open that door." I used to laugh because who knocks that late except troublemakers or drunks? But Lunette's face would go pale whenever I asked, and she would whisper, "Some voices only pretend to be human." At the time, I thought she was being dramatic. I didn't know how fear can live inside a person for years. I didn't know our family had already been touched by something dark. My younger cousin Mireille came to stay with us 2 months before everything went wrong. Her parents were struggling, and my mother never turned away family. Mireille was always quiet, but she had a sweetness about her, like she wanted to trust the world but didn't know how. She loved listening to the wind through the trees and said it sounded like the forest was breathing. I didn't pay much attention to her words until the night she told me she heard someone calling her name from outside her window. I brushed it off, thinking maybe she had imagined it or maybe a neighbor kid was messing around. But she insisted the voice sounded almost like mine. Soft, familiar, but stretched too thin. She said it called her name exactly the way I do when I'm trying to get her attention, like, "Mireille, you awake?" I told her she was probably dreaming, but inside, something in me tightened. It was the first time I felt the tiny edge of fear press against my ribs. She clung to my arm that night, whispering, "What if it wasn't a person?" And for the first time, I didn't know what to say. The night everything changed started like any other. Dinner was quiet, the air a little colder than usual, and Lunette kept glancing toward the windows like she was waiting for something. After we finished, she locked every door and shut every curtain, even though it was only 8 p.m. When I asked what she was doing, she simply said, "The forest feels wrong tonight." Mireille nodded without speaking, her fingers gripping her necklace, a tiny silver leaf her mother gave her. I tried to shake off the uneasy feeling creeping up my spine. I played music, scrolled on my phone, anything to distract myself from the strange heaviness in the air. Around midnight, I was sitting in my room when the power flickered. Once, twice, then went completely out. The house fell silent in a way I had never experienced. No humming of the fridge, no ticking clock, not even wind outside, just stillness. Then, from the front door came a single, slow knock. My heart stopped. Mireille's room was down the hallway, and I heard her sharp inhale through the dark. Lunette whispered my name from her room, shaking, "Don't move, Kaylin." Her voice was the smallest I'd ever heard. The knock came again, this time a little lighter, but somehow more urgent. The sound felt wrong, like whoever was behind the door didn't understand how knocking worked, but was trying to imitate it. Then came the voice. "Lunette, it's Josen, let me in." I froze. Josen was my mother's brother, a man who had gone missing 15 years ago. We never talked about him because the pain in Lunette's eyes was too deep, too sharp. Hearing his voice, now older, tired, but undeniably his, made my stomach flip. Mireille grabbed my arm in the darkness, whispering, "That's not him." I wanted to believe her, but the voice sounded so real, so human. "Lunette," it repeated, "please, I'm cold." Lunette didn't move. She stood in the hallway, holding her shaking hands to her mouth. Tears filled her eyes, not because she believed the voice, but because she knew exactly what was outside. "It remembers him," she said, her words trembling. "It knows his name." My breath came out in short bursts as the voice dragged out another plea, this time softer, like it was learning emotion. "Sister, please." Something inside me broke with fear. The final knock was a hard, heavy thump that rattled the door in its frame. And then everything went quiet again. No voice, no footsteps, just silence. Lunette grabbed us both and pulled us toward the back of the house, whispering, "Don't look at the windows. Don't answer it. Don't speak." Her fear leaked into my chest until my hands were trembling too. We huddled in the small laundry room, the darkest place in the house. Mireille's breathing was sharp and shaky, and I held her hand tightly so she wouldn't feel alone. Lunette whispered a prayer under her breath, repeating Josen's name with sorrow, not hope. After a long stretch of stillness, I heard something scrape across the outside wall, slow and dragging, circling the house like it was searching for a way in. I pressed my palm over Mireille's ear so she wouldn't hear the low humming noise that followed, like something was trying to mimic a lullaby. The scraping stopped beneath the laundry room window. I didn't breathe. None of us did. Then, from right outside the glass, we heard my own voice whisper perfectly, softly. Mireille opened the door. Mireille's whole body went rigid when she heard my voice outside the window. Her fingers dug into my sleeve and I felt her trembling, sharp and terrified. Lunette shook her head violently, silently begging us not to respond. I knew with every beat of my heart that whatever was outside wasn't me. The tone was right. The softness was right. Even the little breath at the end of the sentence, the details were perfect. But there was no warmth in it. No humanity. It felt like someone had listened to me speak 1,000 times and copied the sound without understanding the emotion behind it. The laundry room grew colder, like the air itself was being pulled away. Lunette pressed a hand over her mouth to stop herself from making a sound. I had never seen her so completely cracked open with fear. Something scraped lightly against the glass, as if a long finger was tracing the outline of the window frame. My heart thudded so hard, I thought the thing outside might hear it. Then it spoke again, still using my voice, but slower this time, like it was learning how to talk. "Mireille, please, let me in." Lunette moved closer to us, wrapping her arms around both our shoulders. Her breath was shaky against my ear as she whispered, "It can't come in unless you answer it. Don't speak." I nodded even though she couldn't see my face clearly in the darkness. The scraping at the window grew louder, like nails dragging against the glass, testing its strength. I couldn't help imagining what the thing looked like on the other side. Was it tall? Was it bent? Was it wearing a face that looked like mine? Or worse, was it showing no face at all? Mireille pressed her forehead against my arm, trying to stay silent, but her chest kept jerking with each shaky inhale. The creature outside seemed to sense her fear, because it shifted its voice. This time it spoke in a new tone, higher, smoother, like it was trying to sound comforting, like it wanted her trust. "Mireille," it called again. "I know you're scared, but I can help." My skin crawled. Those weren't my words. Those weren't words I would ever use in a moment like this. Lunette squeezed our shoulders, whispering, "It lies. Always." Suddenly, the power flickered back on for a split second, flooding the room with a flash of pale light. At that moment, I saw the shadow outside the window, long, wrong, leaning too close. I couldn't see the face, but the shape of it was enough to freeze my blood. The lights immediately went out again, plunging us back into darkness, but the brief image burned into my mind. Mireille silently sobbed into her sleeve, trying to stay quiet. Lunette pressed her hand against my back to steady me, even though she herself was shaking so badly she could barely stand. The creature outside whispered again, but this time it didn't mimic my voice. I tried Lunette's. The sound was cracked, too soft, like a sick echo of her real voice. "Kaylin opened the door for me," it said. Lunette's entire body jolted. Tears rolled down her face, not from fear this time, but from the deep pain of hearing her own voice used against her. "It's getting desperate," she whispered. "It wants inside." I had never wanted sunlight more in my life. Every second felt like the house was shrinking around us, like the walls were listening. The creature began walking around the house again, its footsteps uneven and dragging. Each step sounded like bones grinding on gravel. Mireille covered her ears. Lunette held her tighter, whispering, "It's trying to find a weakness." The house creaked as it moved, stopping at each window, tapping lightly, testing them. When it reached the living room, we heard a soft thud like it had pressed its forehead against the glass. I felt sick. Then it started humming, the same low, broken lullaby from earlier. The sound traveled through the walls, filling every corner of the house like a thick fog. It wasn't a song, but an imitation of one, like a child trying to repeat a tune without understanding melody. The notes were too slow, too warped. Lunette shut her eyes, whispering a name I didn't recognize, maybe a prayer, maybe a memory. The humming stopped suddenly. Then the creature whispered one single word, a word it had never used before. My name. Kaylin. The way it said it made my stomach twist. It wasn't imitating this time. It was teaching me. We stayed huddled in that small laundry room until the sky outside shifted from black to the faintest gray. Only then did the scraping stop. Only then did the air feel warm again. When we finally stepped out, my legs were so weak I thought they might give out beneath me. Lunette checked every door and window, her hands trembling as she found muddy prints smeared across the glass. Mireille wouldn't let go of my arm. She kept whispering, "It knew your voice. It knew your name." I didn't know how to calm her because I couldn't calm myself. When we stepped outside to check the yard, my heart dropped. There were footprints long, spaced too far apart, circling the house over and over. Every print pointed the wrong direction, as if whatever made them had been walking backwards the entire time. Lunette covered her mouth, tears filling her eyes. "It's not going to stop," she whispered. "Once it chooses a voice, it keeps it." Mireille squeezed my hand so tight it hurt. I didn't tell her the part that scared me the most, that the creature had spoken my name perfectly, softly, almost gently, as if it had already decided I was the one it wanted next. For the rest of that day, the house felt too quiet, like the walls were still holding their breath. Lunette barely spoke. She kept wiping down the windows and locking the doors repeatedly, even though it was broad daylight. Mireille stayed close to me the whole time, as if putting even a few feet between us might give the creature some kind of advantage. I tried to act calm for her, but my chest felt tight, like something heavy was pressing down on it. I couldn't forget the sound of the creature speaking my name, not copying it, but understanding it. That thought alone made my stomach twist. After lunch, I stepped outside for a moment just to breathe real air. The forest behind our house was still, the trees standing tall and unmoved. I should have felt safer in the daylight, but instead I felt watched. Something about the tree line felt wrong, like it had shifted closer overnight. I rubbed my hands together, trying to shake the coldness from my fingers. Daylight or not, I couldn't escape the feeling that something was teaching us our voices, our names, our fear. And for the first time, I wondered if the forest itself remembered. Late in the afternoon, Lunette finally sat us down. Her face looked older, worn from years of secrets she hadn't wanted to share. "There's something I should have told you long ago," she said quietly. Mireille leaned in, her eyes wide and red. I braced myself. Lunette took a long breath before she spoke again. "What you heard last night isn't new to this family." She stared down at her hands, twisting her fingers as if trying to wring out old memories. "When your Uncle Josen disappeared, he didn't just vanish. He heard a voice calling to him from the woods, a voice that sounded like my father. He followed it." Mireille gasped softly. My mouth went dry. Lunette continued, her voice breaking. "He went out there thinking he was helping someone he loved. We never saw him again. Only his jacket was found torn in ways I can't describe." I swallowed hard, my throat tight. So this creature had been watching our bloodline for years? Learning us? Waiting? Lunette wiped a tear from her cheek. I didn't want you growing up with fear, but maybe I should have told you sooner. Because once it knows a name, it doesn't forget. That evening, the three of us sat in the living room with every curtain closed. None of us wanted to talk about what would happen when night came again. Around 7, the sky dimmed faster than usual, as if the sun wanted no part of the things that wandered after dark. I turned on the old radio, hoping for music or even static, anything to make the silence less heavy. But the radio wouldn't pick up a single station, just dead air. Mireille sat with her knees pulled to her chest, staring at the floor. I could tell she was trying not to cry again. Lunette lit a single candle and placed it on the table. "If the power goes out," she whispered, "stay near the light. Shadows can trick your eyes." I nodded, though my stomach twisted at the thought of darkness filling the house again. As the sky turned fully black, a cold wind passed against the windows. The candle flame bent sideways for a moment, then straightened. Mireille clutched her necklace. "Do you think it knows we're scared?" she whispered. I didn't answer. I didn't want to admit out loud what I already felt deep in my chest, that fear was exactly what it fed on. It didn't take long for the night to make itself known. Around 10, I heard something shift in the trees behind the house. Not wind, not an animal. A slow movement, like someone dragging their feet through the leaves. My heart thumped so loudly I could hear it in my ears. Lunette blew out the candle instantly, plunging the room into darkness. "Don't make a sound," she whispered. We all sat frozen. The footsteps grew closer, steady and slow. I closed my eyes, praying quietly, even though I didn't know what to say. Then, from the forest's edge, I heard my name. Kaylin. It wasn't whispered this time. It wasn't imitated. It sounded like the creature had practiced it all day long. Perfectly steady, almost gentle. My skin crawled. Mireille covered her mouth with both hands. The voice called again, closer now. "Kaylin, come here." My breath broke. I didn't move, but something inside me pulled toward the sound, like it had hooked itself into my name. Lunette reached out and grabbed my wrist, grounding me. "Don't listen," she whispered fiercely. "It wants you to answer. That's how it gets inside." The creature stepped out of the tree line just enough for its shadow to stretch across our backyard. We could see it through a tiny gap in the curtains. Tall, wrongly tall. Its shoulders bent at strange angles, like its body was borrowed and didn't fit. It stood there silently for what felt like hours. Then it spoke again, this time with a voice that wasn't mine, wasn't Lunette's, wasn't any of us. A raw, hollow voice, ancient and emotionless. "I know you, Kaylin Merritt." Hearing my full name made my throat close. Mireille began to shake uncontrollably. Lunette held both of us close, whispering a broken prayer. The creature tilted its head slowly, studying the house as if choosing a point of entry. Then, in the softest tone yet, it said, "Let me in." The words weren't a request, they were a promise, a certainty, as if it already believed the moment would come. Then its shadow slid backward into the trees, vanishing without footsteps, without sound. Only after minutes passed did I realize my hands were wet with tears. Not from fear alone, but from the painful truth that the creature now knew me deeper than I knew myself, and it wasn't going to stop. The next morning, the house felt heavier than before, like the fear had settled into the walls. None of us slept, and the lack of rest made everything look a little unreal, as if we were walking inside a bad dream. Lunette made tea, even though her hands wouldn't stop shaking. Mireille wouldn't let go of my sleeve. She followed me everywhere, afraid I might disappear if she blinked. The sun outside looked dull, almost sickly, as if even daylight didn't want to be here anymore. While we sat at the kitchen table, Lunette finally said what I had been trying not to think about. "It said your full name last night," she whispered. "Not just your voice, not just a copy. It claimed your name." My stomach tightened. Mireille's eyes widened with fresh fear. Lunette leaned forward, lowering her voice. "Once it knows a name like that, once it claims, it means it's chosen someone." I tried to swallow, but my throat felt tight and dry. Chosen. The word felt like a cold hand pressing against my spine. I didn't ask what it meant because deep down, I feared I already knew. The creature wasn't just calling me, it was marking me. We spent the rest of the day preparing for nightfall again, though nothing we did felt like enough. Lunette covered every window with thick blankets and taped them down so no one could peek through, even by accident. She placed salt along the doorways, muttering something about old family traditions. I didn't question her. Desperation makes anything seem reasonable. Mireille followed me from room to room, trying to help but jumping at every small sound. A creak in the floor, a branch tapping the roof, even the sound of the water heater starting. Her fear hurt me more than my own. At one point, she grabbed my hand and whispered, "What if it takes you like it took Uncle Jawson?" Her voice cracked, full of trembling innocence. I squeezed her hand back gently. "I'm not going anywhere," I said, even though I wasn't sure I believed it. The creature had spoken my name with such confidence, like it already owned it. Like it had already taken something from me without touching me. Mireille leaned her head on my arm, trying to breathe calmly, but every time the house made a noise, she jumped, and I felt helpless, knowing I couldn't promise real safety. By late afternoon, the sky began to darken faster than usual again. Lunette kept glancing at the clock, her worry growing deeper by the minute. When the first shadow stretched across the yard, she whispered, "It will come earlier tonight." We gathered in the living room, the only place with enough blankets over the windows to feel protected. Mireille sat between us, clutching her necklace so tightly her knuckles turned white. I tried to distract her by telling a simple story from when we were younger, but even my voice sounded strained and thin. Soon, the temperature in the room dropped so suddenly we all felt it at once. My breath puffed out in small clouds. "It's close," Lunette murmured. A second later, something brushed against the outside of the house. A slow, dragging slide, like a hand tracing the wood. My heart pounded hard against my ribs. The creature moved around us, circling the house with the same patient rhythm as before. But this time it didn't knock. It didn't call out. It didn't need to. It had my name. It had everything it needed. We held on to each other in silence as the creature continued circling, scraping, listening. Then, from the far side of the house, we heard a low, deep groan, almost like the sound of wood bending under weight. But it wasn't the house creaking. It was something breathing, something large, something right against the wall. Mireille covered her ears. Lunette whispered, "Don't speak. Don't react." But the creature already seemed to know where we were. It stopped moving. The silence that followed was worse than any sound. Then it began to mimic my footfalls. Soft, familiar steps that matched the exact way I walked down the hallway each morning. I froze. It wasn't copying randomly. It has studied me, memorized me, and now it was using that knowledge to get inside our heads. After a long moment, it spoke, but it didn't use my voice. It used the voice of a little boy, innocent, lonely. "Kaylin, why are you hiding?" Mireille's breath hitched. I felt sick. The creature wasn't just imitating, it was playing with us, twisting voices like toys. Lunette whispered sharply, "Don't answer. Not even in your mind." The footsteps stopped again, right outside the living room wall. Then came the softest sound, yet a rustling, like someone leaning close to the blanket-covered window. The creature whispered with slow, painful sweetness, "I know you, Kaylin Merritt. I know your fear." My skin crawled. The way it said my last name felt different from before. Hungrier, possessive, Like it wasn't just calling me anymore, it was claiming me as something it already owned. Mireille shook uncontrollably, tears rolling down her cheeks. I wrapped my arm around her, trying to keep her steady, but she was trembling too hard. Lunette held both our hands in hers, whispering prayers she hadn't spoken since childhood. Then the creature spoke again, but this time it didn't use a voice at all. Instead, it mimicked something far worse than my heartbeat. The exact rhythm, the exact pace, thudding through the wall like a second heart belonging to something monstrous. "It's inside your rhythm now," Lunette whispered, her voice breaking. "It's inside your name." My chest tightened so hard it hurt. I knew without a doubt that the creature wasn't finished. It had only begun its hunt, and I could feel it pulling closer to me, as if my name itself was a bridge it had built. The next night came too fast. Even though we tried to rest during the day, none of us slept. The fear sat in our chests like something alive. By evening, the sky had turned a sick gray, and the trees outside barely moved, as if the forest itself was waiting for something. Lunette placed chairs against the doors, though we all knew a creature like that didn't need to open anything the human way. Still, doing something felt better than doing nothing. Mireille stayed glued to my side, her small hand clutching my shirt. "Stay with me," she whispered over and over. I promised her I would, but each time I said it, the promise felt weaker. After sunset, we gathered in the center of the living room again. No candle this time. Lunette said light might draw attention. We sat in the dark, listening to the house breathe, listening to our own hearts race. The first sign came quietly, a soft creak from the hallway. Not from outside, from inside. My pulse jumped. Mireille's fingers tightened around my arm. Lunette's face was drained of color. There had been nothing in the hallway just minutes before. Nothing that should have moved. The creak came again, louder, like a footstep pressing down on old wood. Mireille mouthed the word "no," shaking her head. Lunette held a trembling finger to her lips, telling us not to make a sound. We stayed frozen, staring into the blackness. Then we heard breathing, slow, heavy, inside the house, right beyond the hallway wall. It wasn't human. It sounded deep and dragged, like something trying to copy the rhythm of lungs without understanding how lungs worked. I felt cold all over. My skin prickled and my chest tightened. Something shifted again, a soft scrape, like a hand brushing lightly along the wall. The creature wasn't outside anymore. It had found a way inside, or it had always known a way and simply waited to use it. Lunette grabbed my wrist so hard it hurt. "Don't move," she whispered, barely a breath. The footsteps continued, patient and unhurried, moving toward the living room as if following an invisible trail. Then it stopped, right at the doorway. We couldn't see anything through the dark, but we could feel it watching us. The air felt heavier, thicker, like something massive was standing only a few feet away. Then it spoke. Not through the door, not through the window, but from inside the living room itself. Kaylin. My heart nearly stopped. The voice was perfect, but hearing my voice come from the darkness in front of me made every part of my body tense. Mireille whimpered, covering her ears. "Kaylin," it repeated, softer now. "Why are you hiding?" I clenched my jaw so hard it hurt, trying to keep my breathing quiet. The creature shifted closer, and the floor groaned under the weight of its steps. Lunette held Mireille tightly, whispering small prayers under her breath, but even her prayers shook. "I know you," the creature said, still using my voice. "I know how you walk, how you breathe, how you fear." A cold shiver ran through my spine. Then suddenly the voice changed. It shifted into something new, something shockingly familiar. My uncle's voice. "Kaylin," it said, sounding tired and broken, like someone who had been lost for years. "Help me," Lunette gasped softly, covering her mouth with her hand. The creature paused, as if feeding on her reaction. Then it laughed a low, bent sound that didn't belong to any human throat. The laugh faded slowly, replaced by silence so thick it pressed against our ears. Then something brushed my shoulder. I jerked violently, but Lunette grabbed me before I made a sound. My heart was hammered painfully. The creature was close enough to touch me, close enough to feel the heat of our bodies. It walked around us in slow circles, dragging its fingers or claws along the floor. I heard its breathing shifting, adjusting, like it was studying each of us. Then it began whispering different names it should not have known. "Lunette," it breathed. "Mireille." Mireille broke into tears, shaking uncontrollably. I wrapped my arm around her even though every part of me wanted to run. The creature came to a stop directly behind me. I felt warmth, its breath slow and unnatural, right against my neck. "Kaylin Merritt," it whispered, savoring each syllable like a taste. "Your name is mine." My throat tightened. My vision blurred with fear. Then something even worse happened. The creature placed something on the floor in front of us. The sound was soft, a small drop. Lunette gasped when she saw it. It was a piece of cloth, old, torn. My Uncle Josen's jacket. Mireille cried harder, burying her face against my side. Lunette reached toward the torn jacket piece but stopped before touching it, as if even that might call the creature closer. My hands shook as I stared at it. Evidence, proof, a message. The creature didn't speak again. Instead, it stood silently in the dark, watching us with a patience that felt worse than any threat. Then the breathing stopped completely. The air shifted, the weight in the room lifted, and in one slow movement the creature backed away into the hallway. Its footsteps were soft, almost gentle, moving through the house and fading into the distance. Then the front door creaked open. Not broken, not forced, just opened, and then shut again, as if the creature had simply walked out the same way a visitor would leave. We stayed frozen for a long time, unable to breathe. Finally, Lunette whispered, "It's not trying to break the house. It's trying to break us." Mireille leaned into me, exhausted and terrified. I held her with shaking arms. The creature knew our names. It knew our voices. And now, for the first time, it knew the inside of our home. The moon hung low over the broken trees as I followed Malin and Drevin through the forest, each of us too scared to speak but too tired to keep running. My legs felt like wet sand, heavy and shaking with every step. The wind scraped against the branches like old bones rubbing together, and the sound made me think of that horrible mimic voice calling my name earlier. Malin kept looking back at me with eyes full of guilt, like she believed she had ruined our lives by coming to my home in the first place. But I didn't blame her, not even a little. If she hadn't warned us, the Skinwalker would have taken us one by one without mercy. What I couldn't understand was why it kept choosing my family. Why did it keep using my brother's voice? Why did it smile as if it knew something I didn't? Drevin suddenly stopped walking and raised his hand, forcing us to freeze. The forest fell dead silent, the kind of silence that hurts your ears. "It's close," he whispered, and my chest tightened. I wanted to cry, but there were no tears left to give. Drevin led us to a small, abandoned ranger cabin, leaning sideways at the edge of a dry creek. The windows were broken, and the roof sagged in the middle like it was tired of holding itself up, but it was a shelter. It was something. We slipped inside quietly, stepping over shattered glass and a fallen door hinge. The air smelled like dust and old rain. Malin gently took my hand, squeezing it like she was reminding me I wasn't alone. I squeezed back because I needed that reminder more than anything. Drevin scanned the room and pointed at a wall lined with old metal hooks. "Help me block the door," he said. We pushed a wooden desk, a rusted filing cabinet, and a heavy shelf against it until the entire entrance looked like a barricade from the end of the world. When we finished, he crouched down and pulled out a metal box from under the floorboards. Inside were old papers, a map and a small wooden carving shaped like a twisted creature with 2 long limbs. Malin gasped softly. "That's it," she whispered. "That's the one my grandmother warned me about." My skin crawled the moment I looked at the carving. The creature's face had no expression, no eyes, nothing, just smooth wood carved into a shape that made my stomach twist. Drevin held it carefully as if it might bite him, and explained that the ranger who lived here had disappeared years ago while tracking strange animal deaths in the area. His final notes mentioned a voice that doesn't belong to a face and a figure walking backward along the creek. My throat tightened. It had been here long before we were born. Long before Malin's grandmother warned her. Long before my brother ever left home. As we read the notes, Malin leaned against me, shaking quietly, and I wrapped an arm around her, even though my hands were trembling. Drevin found a final sentence written in a shaky hand at the bottom of the page. "It only needs one name to take a family." My blood went cold. That was why it wanted my brother's name. Why did it keep coming back to our house? Why did it wait outside my window when I was little, pretending to be something familiar? It only needed one of us to say the wrong word. Before we could process what that meant, something hit the side of the cabin, hard. The entire wall shook, dust falling from the ceiling like gray snow. Malin grabbed my arm with both hands, her nails digging into my skin. Drevin motioned for us to stay low, and we crawled toward the far corner of the room behind an old bunk bed frame. The thing outside scraped its nails along the wood, slow and deliberate, like it was carving a message we couldn't see. Then we heard my brother's voice, soft and broken. "Please, I'm hurt. Let me in." My heart shattered. It sounded exactly like him, down to the way he breathed when he was scared as a kid. Malin shook her head violently, whispering, "It's not him, Junren. Don't listen." But I covered my ears anyway because the voice felt like hands trying to pull memories out of my chest. The creature knocked once, then again, then a third time, louder. The roof creaked, the shelves rattled, the entire cabin felt like it was breathing with the monster, and then, horribly, its voice changed. It whispered my mother's name. And then my father's. I broke. I couldn't take it anymore. I crawled toward the barricaded door, my legs moving before my brain could stop them. I needed it to stop saying their names. I needed silence. But Drevin lunged forward and grabbed me, pulling me back with sheer force. "If you open that door," he growled, "everyone you love dies tonight." Malin held my face in her hands, tears running down her cheeks. "Junren, listen to me," she said, her voice shaking so badly it barely sounded like her. "It wants your family because you're the one who hears it the clearest. You're the one it marked." Her words hit me like a blade. Marked. Chosen. Cursed. I didn't want any of it. Outside, the thing scraped at the door one final time before letting out a low, broken laugh that sounded like every family member I had layered, twisted, blended into something rotten. Then the forest fell silent again. We didn't sleep that night. We just sat there, holding on to each other, waiting for the sun to rise. And when it finally did, creeping through the cracked windows, I realized something awful. The footprints outside the cabin were leading into the forest, not away. Morning light made the cabin feel less like a dying place, but the fear stayed heavy inside my chest. Drevin studied the footprints outside, deep, long, and bent in strange angles, while Malin held my hand like I might drift away if she let go. The prints didn't lead away from the cabin like we hoped. They circled it over and over, sometimes overlapping, sometimes stopping beside a window as if the thing had stood there for hours watching us breathe. But one set of prints broke off and continued into the forest, dragging something behind it. My stomach twisted. "It's not gone," Drevin said quietly. "It's retreating, waiting, planning." Malin looked at me with trembling lips. "We can't keep running. she whispered. And she was right. Running wasn't life. Running was only dying in slow motion. The creature wanted a name. One name. And if we didn't stop it, it would keep coming after the only people I loved. I felt something change inside me, heavy, painful, but clear. Then we end this today, I said. My voice didn't feel like mine. It felt older, heavier, shaped by fear and pain, but it was the truth. I wasn't running anymore. Drevin led us deeper into the forest, following the dragging footprints with a hunter's focus. The trees grew thicker around us, blocking the sky and casting long shadows that made everything feel uncertain. After an hour of walking, we reached a clearing that smelled like burned leaves and dry bones. In the center stood an ancient stone circle, half buried under moss. The stones looked carved not by tools but by something with long hands and too much patience. Malin gasped quietly. She recognized it from her grandmother's stories. "This is where it binds itself," she whispered, "where it collects the names it steals." My breath caught. If this place held the voices it had taken, maybe we could free them. Maybe we could save my brother's voice from being used against us forever. The footprints ended at the circle, then scattered like the creature vanished into thin air. The air felt colder here, thick and wrong, as if the forest itself didn't want us touching this place. Drevin gave me a small wooden talisman, shaped like the twisted carving from the cabin. "This protects the mind," he said. "But only if you want to be protected." I swallowed hard and took it. We stepped inside the stone circle, and everything changed. The wind stopped. The birds went silent. Even the ground felt like it was holding its breath. Then a whisper drifted through the trees, soft, broken, familiar, my brother's voice. "Junrin, please, I need you." My knees weakened and Malin grabbed my arm, grounding me. "It's not him," she said firmly. "It's only his voice." But hearing him like that hurt. Desperate, made something inside me break. The air twisted, and a shape slowly unfolded from the shadows at the edge of the clearing. Its body stretched unnaturally long, joints bending backward. Its face was smooth, the way a blank mask is smooth, but its chest pulsed like it held trapped voices inside. It stepped closer, and my brother's voice echoed again. This time it was my mother's, then my father's, then mine. Perfect copies. Perfect lies. I covered my ears, but the sound wasn't outside, it was inside my head, pressing against my thoughts like fingers pushing through soft clay. The talisman burned hot in my hand, reminding me that I still had a choice. I wasn't powerless. Not yet. The creature stopped in front of me, towering over us with its sickening smile carved across the blankness of its face. It leaned down until I could feel its cold breath on my skin. Then it whispered my brother's name, not like a plea this time, but like a weapon. The world shook. I felt memories slipping, like it was pulling pieces of my childhood away. Malin screamed my name and held my shoulders, forcing me to look at her. "Junren, you don't fight it with fear," she cried. "You fight it with love. With truth." Her voice cracked on the last word. Drevin threw powder across the ground, chanting something old and sharp. The stones glowed faintly. The creature recoiled for a moment, its limbs twitching violently, but then it screamed. A sound that wasn't human. A sound that felt like it was tearing the forest apart. I pressed the burning talisman against my chest and closed my eyes. I pictured my brother's smile, the real one. I pictured my mother laughing in the kitchen. My father is fixing the old truck. Memories that belonged to me, not the creature. "You can't have us," I whispered. "You don't own our names." The ground shook and the creature lunged, but the stones lit up in a blinding flash, pushing it back. Its voice chorus shattered, spilling into the air like broken glass. I heard my brother's voice cry out, not the mimic, but him. Real. Soft. Alive. The creature screamed again, its form collapsing inward like shadows folding into themselves. Then, with a final roar, it burst into a cloud of dark dust that scattered across the clearing. Silence followed. Heavy, deep, peaceful. I dropped to my knees, shaking. Malin wrapped her arms around me, and Drevin placed a hand on my shoulder. "It's over," he said quietly. I didn't answer. I just listened. And somewhere in the quiet breeze, I heard my brother's voice, clear and gentle, say my name one last time. Not begging, not crying, just thankful. I felt tears spill down my face. Malin held me tighter. The forest felt lighter, like it could breathe again. And for the first time in days, I felt like I could too. We walked back home slowly, holding each other. I knew life would never be the same, but we survived. My family survived, and the creature would never speak our names again.